So, last but least, let's wrap up this part, is the fact that did you know that our bodies have naturally DMT? Did you know that? Yeah, isn't that crazy that the most powerful psychedelic that is known to humankind is present in our bodies? Like, that's mind-bending. But for me, what is more mind-bending is not the fact that we have DMT. We have a DMT regulation system in our bodies. We have an enzyme in our gut called monoamine oxidase, and its role is to stop DMT from getting activated in your body. Like hold on a second. So the most powerful psychedelic is in our body, and we have a regulation system to stop it. Like that is mind-bending. I mean, we need to do more research on this. Like our bodies are not just familiar with DMT; they're programmed to stop DMT from reaching your brain. So remember how my grandma was telling us that the God put a curtain in front of our eyes. That curtain might be MAO actually, in the scientific terms. So MAO enzymes, this is really funny. When I asked ChatGPT about the role of MAO, it created a border control, and then a DMT trying to get in. This is literally, ChatGPT's definition of use of role of MAO in the body. I love it. I love the AI. So this is how the MAO stops the DMT from entering. So when we smoke DMT, it overwhelms the body. And it's so fast because it goes to your lung and then straight to your brain. So the moment you smoke DMT, then your body goes into red alert. And it goes like, what the fuck is happening? I need to stop this. And then it releases all the MAOs to stop it from you having this experience. Almost this, and then this is why it brings you back to the physical reality. Not because DMT is not powerful, it's because your body has this system. So the question is, how does ayahuasca last longer? Well, that's where the magic and mystery are. Anybody has any idea how ayahuasca works? Yeah, exactly, yeah. So people in the spiritual community always like to say I don't like doing LSD and MDMA because they're not natural. I like ayahuasca. Well, ayahuasca is not natural either. It doesn't grow on trees. I mean, the bark does. The barks and the plants do, but ayahuasca itself is an elixir. You need to have a shaman, which is the scientist of the jungle, to create it. So ayahuasca is the chemistry of the jungle, which is a mind-blowing chemistry. So ayahuasca is a combination of two plants, specific plants, and to activate the DMT in the elixir. So we have two plants, chacruna and the ayahuasca wine. So the chacruna or Psychotria viridis, thanks, Leila, for reminding me this, by the way. Yeah, and contains DMT. But when you eat chacruna orally, DMT is not active because your body goes into alert and stops the enzyme. By the way, everything you eat, plants, insects, animals, humans. Hope you don't eat humans, but it's yeah. You might try maybe. Yeah. I mean, it's everything we eat that goes into our stomach has a little, different levels of DMT, and our bodies don't absorb it because of monoamine oxidase. But because, monoamine oxidase destroys it. But interestingly, the role of ayahuasca wine is, ayahuasca wine, the other ingredient, contains monoamine oxidase inhibitors. Another enzymes that its role is to stop that monoamine oxidase activity. So when you combine those two, ayahuasca wine literally stops the monoamine oxidase in the body, and DMT can go in with this happy face. And I love this nature's poetry because ayahuasca is a vine. How vines entangle other plants. It also entangles around the monoamine oxidase, deactivates it for 8 hours, and you get high on the chacruna. Okay. So so this combination is the magic combination in the jungle. And it takes us to other dimensions. But the main question is, how the hell did they figure this out? Because we have 250,000 plants in the Amazon jungle. Reductions of material scientists say that it was just a coincidence. They just put two plants. I'm like, come on, man. It's just you don't just put two random plants together. Perhaps when they were eating, that could make sense. But to create ayahuasca, you're looking at 2 to 3 days of this, constantly cooking, looking after it. It's a process. It's what scientists do in the lab in the West is what shamans are doing, in the jungle. So the chances that this is just a coincidence is absolutely rubbish, for me at least. And because like it's such an elixir that allows you to enter an altered state of consciousness to communicate with otherworldly beings, like, and could it be that because when we ask shamans how they came up with this idea, ayahuasca tradition, by the way, as far as we know, is going back for over 10,000 years, and there's some like emerging evidence showing that it might be going actually a bit further, how they call it, longer than that. I urge you to look at Graham Hancock's research on this. Yeah, if you spend the night in the jungle drinking ayahuasca, you'll understand what shamans mean by plant spirits told us how to combine this, to communicate with them. There's an incredible book by a guy called Jeremy Narby, The Cosmic Serpent, DNA and the Origins of Knowledge. And we're wrapping up now. The book takes you on a journey. So Jeremy Narby in 1980s, he was an anthropologist from Switzerland. He was hired by a pharmaceutical company to go to Amazon to study the knowledge of ayahuasca shamans. And he was a Western scientist. Only experience he had was with alcohol and tobacco. And he was just watching these shamans, just like telling him, like, oh, if you get bitten by this snake with 3 dots in his head, you need to take this plant. But if you get bitten by a snake with only 1 dot in his hand, you need to take this other plant. Then he was like, hold on a second, like, how do you know all this? There's thousands of plants here. He was mind blown. And then the shamans told him, oh, we know it because we drink ayahuasca and talk to the mother ayahuasca, who is the spirit of the jungle. And then he was like, are you telling me that you're hallucinating and talking to the plants? And they were like, literally. And then they were like, well, if you're an anthropologist who wants to understand our culture, you need to have an ayahuasca ceremony with us. And then they tell him to, like, not drink alcohol, not have sex, not eat meat for a week. He does everything because he doesn't care. He's just like, oh, these shamans are just high. And then he drinks ayahuasca, and then the first thing he sees is Mother Ayahuasca comes and kicks his ass, and then tells him, you did not respect our tradition. And this guy then leaves his job and then stays in the jungle. As far as I know, he's still there today doing research. Yeah, because every podcast, like, is in the background, there's a jungle. So what I love about that book is the book starts by Heraclitus. Those who love wisdom must investigate many things. And you go through his experience in the jungle, and the book ends by saying, all things considered, wisdom requires not only the investigation of many things, but contemplation of the mystery. Okay, thank you. Now break time. Oh, let's jump in. Let's start with the cosmic serpent, the most known entity and loved entity, I guess. Have you heard about the cosmic serpent? Do you know the cosmic serpent?
Only from Jim Morrison.
Jim Morrison? Okay. When did he say it? Yeah, he was talking about the reptilians a lot, but okay.
Yeah, and I think.
Okay, let's talk about that, because I love Jim Morrison, but I didn't know that. Okay, you made me curious. Okay, yeah. So I activated my geeky side. Okay, so cosmic serpent, also known as the grandmother. She's known as, so the cosmic serpent is a serpent that people who drink ayahuasca experience a lot, and not necessarily on NN-DMT. That's the interesting thing. So like in ayahuasca, DMT that is used, that comes from chacruna, is NN-DMT. But even though ayahuasca has NN-DMT in it, the experience of ayahuasca is completely different than the smoke version of DMT. Perhaps is because it's mixed with other plants, or perhaps it has this long, thousands of years tradition. We don't know yet, but the experience is totally different, both visually and emotionally as well. So a lot of people see cosmic serpent. She's also known as, also known as the Mother Ayahuasca, and in one of her manifestations, mostly female, but not always. She's very like nourishing and loving and healing. Though if you've been like a bit naughty, she can be very kicking as well. She can be very like quite, for the lack of a better word, like a violent as well, for your own good and sake. And she reveals the secrets of the universe. She's like a gatekeeper of knowledge, and she has workers, and she heals you. Long story short, she either heals you or she reveals you the secrets of the universe. And why shamans in the Amazon, they communicate with the grandmother. They literally communicate with the grandmother. So it might seem like a crazy idea to our Western, maybe not for this room, but like for most, Western ideas to communicate with other plant worlds. But these people, they might not have invented, another iPhone of Amazonian jungle, but they've been working with ayahuasca for, 10,000 years. So they are more advanced in the knowledge of the plant and the spirit world more than us. So they communicate with the grandmother literally for healing. and plant knowledge and spiritual travel. So in the ayahuasca ceremonies, has anyone here been to ayahuasca ceremony? Yeah. So you know that it's not about like just drinking ayahuasca. It's also about the icaros, the songs that they sing. That the whole ceremony. So ayahuasca is part of the ceremony. So when ayahuasca shamans are actually playing the music and then singing the icaros songs, they believe that the spirit of ayahuasca comes inside them, and then they get possessed by the spirit of ayahuasca, and then the ayahuasca spirit sings through them. And again, the plant knowledge is when Jeremy Noor was asking them, they were saying that, yeah, they were using ayahuasca to learn about this plant. So ayahuasca, the cosmic serpent, is literally the nervous system of the Amazon. Shamans say that they can ask the serpent for knowledge of the forest, weather, animals, and even community health. Like the Amazonian tribes, when they want to move the tribe from one location to another, they go to ayahuasca, they drink ayahuasca and ask the Mother Ayahuasca where to go, because Mother Ayahuasca connected to the entire nature. Or when they're about to go hunting, they drink ayahuasca. When they are going on a battle with another tribe, they still drink ayahuasca. And also, like I said, we're Western, like we think ayahuasca is all about light and love and all that and about healing. But actually in the Amazonian jungle, Amazonian shamans drink ayahuasca to cast black magic on each other. Did you know that? Like a lot of Westerners, when they go there, a lot of people report coming back with like feeling of something attached to them as well. Not all shaman is malicious, but there are those there that also apparently use this, take advantage of this, the naivety of people, going there not knowing what's happening. So appearance of ayahuasca of cosmic serpent is usually like you either see her like as a massive serpent, often glowing, sometimes made of neon fractals, scales like resembling infinite patterns of DNA or woven jungle motifs. Sometimes you see two serpents coming to you, like a DNA motif. Sometimes people report seeing like a tunnel vision of multiple serpents. It feels like a serpent entity, but like you see loads of different serpents. And they can appear as one great serpent, like Anaconda, Yakuma, or Quetzalcoatl, or many intertwined. Now I'm going to say, has anyone here heard about the Quetzalcoatl? Yeah? Yeah. Okay, so this is where the ayahuasca tradition has been. It's coming from, as far as we know, and it's been here and it's been going on for like over 10,000 years. And this is where Quetzalcoatl is from. It's one of the grand gods of the central Mesoamerica. So Quetzalcoatl, again, it's a feathered serpent. It's an echo of the cosmic serpent in Mesoamerica and Aztec and Toltec civilizations. And Quetzalcoatl is known as the creator god and culture bringer, associated with the wind, knowledge, fertility, dawn, and renewal. Again, another serpent symbolism here in a different culture, not so far from the Amazonian jungle. Again, using the serpent symbology for the knowledge keeping and renewal. So we could assume that maybe they were inspired by this, or the tradition of drinking ayahuasca could have moved there because it's on the same continent. But then, when we go to Egypt, they may not have a serpent that they call cosmic serpent, but they do have cobras that they use heavily in their symbology. And cobras, it happens to be the being that they're the guardians of the secret knowledge. Again, so I always question why across continents and time, like many different civilizations, always choose serpents. Like, do you know any civilization that's chooses donkey to symbolize the knowledge, or or ape or gorilla? It's always a serpent. Again, you go to Middle East. There, the weather, the tradition of the eating the fruit from the tree of knowledge. Again, it's the serpent that talks to Eve and gives the Eve, the bitter fruit from the tree of knowledge. And again, it's a serpent that gives them the access to the forbidden knowledge. Again, the serpent, we see serpent as a guardian here. Again, in Islam, it is said that jinn can take different form and then it specifically says in the Quran that jinn specifically chooses to come in the form of a serpent. And then in fact, Prophet Muhammad says that one must be very careful when harming a serpent because it might be a jinn. It might be a sentient being in the form of a serpent. Again, it's a global symbol here, ethereal wisdom. And then we go to India now. Again, serpents there. Nagas in Hinduism. Have you ever heard about Nagas in the Hinduism? Yeah, they are the serpent beings. Sometimes they're half serpent, half human as well, therianthrope. Again, they are guardians of knowledge. They can curse or bless you, like how a jinn can be, you know, both benevolent or malicious, and sometimes half human and half serpent. And then now we are going to my favorite part, Şahmeran. So what I find really fascinating is that where I come from in Turkey, we also have a serpent queen called Şahmeran, and she's a half serpent and half human from the mythology of Anatolian and Mesopotamian mythologies. And serpent queen of Anatolia and Mesopotamia, and she's again the guardian of knowledge and a cosmic healer. So when you compare cosmic serpent and the Şahmeran, they have so many things in common. They may not look the same. They may have different names for it, but like the role is the same. They're healers. They're guardian of knowledge. They bridge between realities, and they represent transformation, initiation, and they have a protective role. So what is really fascinating is that in the same region, we have also two things, like the recent archaeological discoveries in Göbekli Tepe and Karahan Tepe. You know about these places that until we discovered Göbekli Tepe, we were sure that the human civilization was 10,000 years old, but Göbekli Tepe pushes it back to 13,800 years. And in the same region where Şahmeran is from, we also see a lot of like serpent carvings on these new discoveries. And in fact, there is also even a half human, half serpent head coming out of a wall. And then the same region also has a plant called Syrian Rue. Do you know about the Syrian Rue that is used in the Anatolian shamanism, which is here? Yeah, it's not illegal, so yeah, you shouldn't be worried. So yeah, prestigious archaeological sites. Yeah, again, half human, half serpent. We go back to the again, filled up with serpent symbolism, and I just find it really fascinating. The land that is the home to the Şahmeran is also home to this an archaeological site. And in the Anatolian shamanism, shamans use Syrian Rue for in the shamanic tradition. So in Turkey, you can buy the Syrian Rue in kilograms in shops, and look, day to day, like your normal Turkish human being uses this. We use it to burn and sage. This is, in short, is Palo Santo of Turkey. So ever since I was a kid, we always, I know my grandparents, my mom, like if I'm having a bad day, we believe in nazar, like the negative energy that people can put on you. Then whenever you feel this, like your grandmother always like burns it and then cleanses you. Or before you have neighbors coming to your place, you burn Syrian Rue to cleanse it. We also have in Turkey, this is like a dream catcher kind of, or like a muska, we call it. It's made of Syrian Rue. So these bits here, you see, the Syrian Rue. It's made of this. It's Syrian Rue. So in Turkey, like a lot of houses, almost all of them, have this hanging on the wall, and to protect your house from malicious, entities, literally. And what I find really interesting is that the Syrian Rue is also called herb of the graveyard. So also when I was a kid, we had these rumors, because whenever we couldn't find weed, we will always talk about like apparently there is this special plant in the plant shop that gets you high, and we were like, and then I knew that was one of the plants in that shop was some sort of like psychoactive, but then later on I found out that it was actually the Syrian Rue. So I would question like why do they choose the Syrian Rue? Because what I found out that Syrian Rue also contains monoamine oxidase inhibitor. So out of all the plants in Anatolia, Turkish and Kurdish shamans chose the plant that contains monoamine oxidase inhibitor as their sacred plant to cleanse it from dark entities and spirits. And then what I find really also interesting is that in Anatolian shamanism it's called herb of the graveyard. In Amazonian shamanism, Amazonian ayahuasca wine is called wine of the dead. So quite similar. So then the question is like, we know that in the Amazonian jungle, they mix ayahuasca wine with chacruna to create ayahuasca. Then the question was like, could there be a form of ayahuasca also created in Anatolia that shamans have used? So when you actually look into this, you also come across like these two things. So in the central Anatolia, they found lots of sculptures from previous civilizations, that were from Hittites and Seljuks, and they were there's these beings, the gods, in the shape of mushrooms, and these are psychedelic mushrooms. We know of this because of the shape of the head, like the point head, almost like the Liberty Cap. And this is the sculpture with the Liberty Cap head that is found in Turkey. Did you know? The native mushrooms of this land is Liberty Caps. And the name comes from this sculpture that is found in Turkey, actually. So, and on a side note, also the people who made Göbekli Tepe, the DNA they were found in Göbekli Tepe were found also in Stonehenge as well. So that's another rabbit hole to dig in. But we can have another talk about that. And then, so in modern times, combination of Syrian Rue with mushrooms, it's called Ayahuasca. Because the psilocybin in mushrooms, as you know we studied this, do you remember? Did you do your homework? DMT, like the base molecule of psilocybin, the active compound in mushrooms, is DMT. So when you actually take Syrian Rue, which stops your monoamine oxidase inhibitors, monoamine oxidase in your body with inhibitors, and you mix it with mushrooms, then you go into much deeper experience. I'm not suggesting to you that you do this at home because Syrian Rue and anything that has monoamine oxidase inhibitors, I know that there is a medical condition thing. Also, before ayahuasca experience, they ask you if you have that medical condition because things can go a bit wrong if you have that medical condition. I'm not a doctor, so I don't know, but do your research. If you know.
Lethal with any SSRIs.
Potent, yeah, that's the thing. Yeah.
If you're on SSRI antidepressants, Syrian Rue and any MAOIs would be lethal.
Yeah, and also be careful. But what I do is because it's legal, I drink the tea of Syrian Rue, just put a couple of these pop heads in tea. I've drank loads of it when I was making this presentation. Perhaps you could guess, but yeah, it doesn't get you high, but it does get you heightened, and then you feel really focused. Another thing that is found in Anatolia is Acacia tree. We talked about this, and Mimosa. And they both contain high doses of DMT. And it is known that in the Egyptian traditions, they were mixing Acacia with Syrian Rue and creating a form of Egyptian ayahuasca. In fact, this tradition still goes on. Like I was telling you, during the Islamic empire's rise, they were cutting down all the acacia trees, so the tradition went underground. It's still underground. They kept the tradition. But in Egypt, I know in Turkey, they're still doing the mixing acacia with Syrian Rue and running secret ceremonies. So I'm questioning perhaps both cultures, both Anatolian shamans and Amazonian shamans drank a very similar brew with similar psychoactive plants in them, and then they met the same entity. One called it Şahmeran, other one called it the cosmic serpent. To me, again, calling this as coincidence is just rubbish. And what I find also very fascinating is that one of the big, well-known ayahuasca shamans, Pablo Ameringo, do you know about him? He was a big ayahuasca shaman, and he's known because he was the painter ayahuasca shaman who has been painting his trips, and he was kind of like the person introduced ayahuasca to the West. And in some of his paintings, he depicts the cosmic serpent as a half human, half female goddess with a crown, like Şahmeran. Şahmeran always has a crown because she's the queen of some. Şahmeran in Kurdish means, Shah means the queen, Meran is the serpent, so Şahmeran is the queen of the serpents. So I find that really, really fascinating parallel. Could be coincidence again. But the fascinating thing is these two cultures were separated by distance and time and thousands of miles, yet they figured out by using a similar plant with similar monoamine oxidase inhibitor in them, and then came up with this very similar entity, or goddess that they came across. If you're curious about this, we're gonna. I have made a little documentary about it and about the similarities between Anatolian Şahmeran and ayahuasca shamanism, and Graham Hancock will be featuring it. So if you're curious, you will hopefully be seeing it in the next couple of weeks. Yeah. So now, remember I said cosmic serpent has also healers, and have you heard about the cosmic elves? The elves, yeah. So yeah, you can guess where we're going next. But a friend of mine who I had ayahuasca experience with, he told me that we were in the jungle and he saw, instead of seeing cosmic serpent, he said to me that he saw these little elves with drill machines made of fractals, and they were drilling holes in him and healing him. And again, this is like a very common experience. And this guy is from Ireland, and my friend who had this experience. And in Irish culture, there's lots of fairies and elves. And then what he